Welcome to the Texas REIAs. The Texas REIAs is the largest network by far of real estate investor associations in the great state of Texas, with REIAs all over the state, over 150,000 members, participants, and attendees. We have been meeting since 2003, so for 21 years. So why do you care and why does this matter? Well, the reason you might want to care is because real estate is local, and laws are local, and contracts are local, and contractors are local, and buyers and sellers and houses and power teams and everything about real estate is local. There's 30,000 books and YouTube videos that talk about how to invest in real estate. They all talk about how to do it anywhere. Well, how to do it anywhere is how to do it at 30,000 feet. Real estate is not bought and sold at 30,000 feet. Real estate is bought and sold at 0 feet. So if you want to know what laws apply here, and where to get the money here, and where to find the deals here, and which neighborhoods to invest in here, and what's legal and what's not legal here, where do you get all that? And the answer is you get that at your local real estate investor association. And if you have even the very slightest interest in investing in real estate, the very first thing to do is to go join your local real estate investor association. So welcome to the Texas REIAs. We are live and we are also online. We are simulcasting. If you are on Goto webinar, you are live. If you are on social media, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, you may or may not be live, but if you'd like to come to a future live event, just come join us at Texas REIAs /live. And you can join us by simply going to that link. Okay, so where to start? A very common question that I get asked a lot when investors start investing is, what's the best place to get started? Where's the best place to go? And I'm going to answer that question by saying, well, it depends. What does it depend on? It depends on what you're trying to do. If you're here because, let's say, you want to replace your income, generate income, maybe quit your job, maybe supplement your income, and you'd like to do that as quickly as possible. So you want to make, let's say, an extra $100,000 with a side hustle or new business or career, and you want to do this in the next 12 months. If that's why you're here, I'm going to say you should be flipping houses. Because you can do residential, you can do commercial, you can do active, you can do passive. All of these things are great, right? All quadrants are good, right? But if your goal is to quit your job, replace your income, supplement your income, the fastest way to do that in the shortest amount of time is to flip houses. And one of the cool things that's about the Texas REIAs is we do all the strategies, we do all the assets, we do commercial, we do residential, we do active, we do passive, we do it all, right? So we're not here to try to persuade you that one way is better than another. In fact, we teach them all, we love them all, I do them all, I love them all. Most people that teach real estate are what we call one-trick ponies. They're always trying to tell you, oh, this is the best way, no, this is the best way, no, 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 this is the best way. And we're going to tell you they're all right and they're all wrong, but it really depends on you and the problem you're trying to solve. But again, if you're trying to solve the problem of replacing your income, supplementing your income, if you want to make an extra $100,000 in the next 12 months, I'm going to tell you, you should be flipping houses. We're going to show you about a dozen different ways to do that. Now, if you say, but that's not really why I'm here, I'm not here to generate income, I'm here to build wealth. I like my job, I'm good with the money thing, I want to build wealth, I want to retire wealthy, right? I want to be as wealthy as possible in my future. Well, if that's your driving motivation, I'm going to say you should be buying rental properties. Okay, I love rental properties. I've been buying rental properties for 21 years here in Texas. I now own $30 million worth of houses across the state of Texas, and a lot of them are free and clear because the tenants paid off the mortgage. Thank you very much, tenants. And they've doubled and doubled and doubled in value. So a lot of my net worth came from decisions I made 20 years ago, right? Buying a bunch of rental properties. And I bought a lot, and they're awesome. I wish I bought more. I really did. Now, I will say, do a little audience interaction here. How many of you think houses are kind of expensive right now? Who thinks houses are kind of expensive right now? Who thinks houses are kind of cheap right now? Who thinks houses are kind of cheap right now? My opinion, they are dirt freaking cheap. Okay, I'm astounded, startled. I look at the price of houses out there, they are ridiculously cheap. Now, I will tell you, when I started buying houses 21 years ago, houses were ridiculously expensive. That's why everybody was thinking. They were looking at the market like, oh, these houses are so expensive. They were crazy prices. And I was buying rental properties back there, mostly in central Austin, and I paid ridiculous prices for those houses. Sometimes I'd pay as much as $120 or $130 or $40 or sometimes maybe even $150,000, $60,000. I know, for a house. I know, it's crazy, right? And I bought a whole bunch of houses for like $140,000, $150,000 a piece. Those houses today are worth $650,000 a piece, $850,000 a piece. One of them I'm trying to sell for $1.2 million. Now today, houses are more expensive than they were 21 years ago. But I'm going to make an argument, a pretty good argument, that these houses are dirt cheap. And I don't want you to believe me because you don't know me yet. So I'm not going to ask you to believe what I'm telling you. Instead, I'm going to ask you to ask somebody that I know you trust. In fact, you probably trust this person I'm going to advise you to talk to more than anybody else in the world. Okay, I want you to ask this person you trust more than anybody in the world, what do you think of home prices, right, back in Dallas, back in 2024? Who do I want you to ask? I want you to ask future you. Okay, you 20 years from now. You know what future you is going to say to you? They're going to say, oh my God, do you realize you could buy a house in Dallas for less than $3 million? You should have bought them all. For 21 years, every year, everybody says exactly the same thing. Oh my God, houses are so expensive. Okay, and yet in 20 years from now, I guarantee the houses today will be as different today versus 20 years ago as they are today versus 20 years from, in the past, right? You don't have to even know if the market is going up or down when you hold something for 20 years. Let me give you a hint, it's going up, okay? And the biggest mistake I made 20 years ago is I didn't buy more. So how many of you, have owned a house for the last 3 years? Who's owned a house for the last 3 years? Nice, you're a lot richer than you were 3 years ago, congratulations. What if you had 20? What if you had 50? What if you had 300? Okay, that would have been nice. How much richer would you be? When's the best time to plant a tree? No, 20 years ago. When's the second best time to plant a tree? That would be right now. So you need to start planting trees right now. And I guarantee if you only remember one thing coming out of this meeting and you follow that advice, 20 years from now you will say, thank God I bought X rental properties back in 2024, regardless of whatever the market was at, because that is how wealthy I am today. But you may look at that and you may say, but that's still not why I'm here. That's not why I'm here. I'm really looking to make money with money I already have. I already have money in my 401k. I already got money in the stock market, but I'm looking for something better. I want to make money with my money. If that's why you're here, I'm going to say you should be investing in commercial syndications. Private equity. What is private equity? Wealthy people, I'm sorry, do not invest in the stock market. That's public equity. Wealthy people invest in private equity. Why? Because on average it's twice the return with half the risk. And if you knew there was something you could do with your extra money or your 401k that's twice the return and half the risk, you're not going to do what you're probably doing now. And that is private equity, which is typically things like commercial real estate syndications. Most of them are structured, these deals are structured to double your money. You put in 50, you get back 100. You put in 100, you get back 200, right? And you learn a lot while getting paid to learn. So that's what you do with extra money, if you know about syndications. But you may still say, but you still haven't gotten me. That's not why I'm here. What I'm here to do is I want to make the really big money. I'm not here to make $100,000 a year. I want to make $1 million a year, $5 million a year, $2 million, $3 million, $5 million a year. If that's why you're here, you should be sponsoring syndications. You should be doing commercial syndications, right? Commercial syndications typically make the syndicator, the sponsor, the guy who's doing the deal, typically make them $1 million or more per deal, right? Now the catch is typically as commercial syndications a 5-year deal. So yeah, it is big money, but it's not fast money, right? But that being said, if you start one of these or 2 of these or 3 of these deals a year, right, and then over 5 years, guess what? You're making $1 million or several $1 million a year. So these are all fantastic, right? And which is right or wrong for you just depends on you. So let's do a little poll of the audience. There's no judgment and no right or wrong because I'm just asking your opinion, right? How many of you are here because you say you want to make an extra 100,000, you want to supplement your income, maybe quit your job, make an extra 100,000, 6 figures in the next 12 months? Who would say that's mostly why you're here? Great, that's usually where people come. How many of you are here saying mostly, no, I'm mostly looking to build wealth? How many are mostly building wealth? Okay, great, that's a pretty good one. How many of you are here because you're saying, I really want to learn how to make more money with money I already have? Who wants to make money with money? Okay, great. And then how many of you are here because you're saying, I'm ready to do the multi-million-dollar syndications? Who's ready to do the multi-million-dollar syndications? Great. They're all right. There's no right or wrong. And let me just try to do something here. My slide is not advancing. Boom, 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 boom. Always frustrating. Oh, let's see. Maybe because the slide advancer is not plugged in. Aha, there we go. So yeah, these are all wonderful, wonderful things to do. And which is the right one? The answer is yes, they're all good, right? They're all good, right? A lot of you were looking for kind of quadrants 1 and 2. A couple of you are looking for 3 and 4. Most people start by flipping houses, which generates income, fastest way to generate income. And then I would argue that you should keep the best, right? And flip some, but keep the best. Keep some of them, right? Don't flip them all, keep some of them for long-term wealth. Now, once you have more money than you need to pay your bills and to pay for your life and your lifestyle, you're gonna wanna make money with your extra money. And I'm going to argue the best way to do that is to invest in commercial syndications. Take some additional education. You got to meet the people and see the deals, right? That's private equity. And then once you invest in syndications, you're going to learn how syndications really work. You put 50 in, you get 100 back. You put 100 in, you get 200 out, right? But then you realize the guy you invested that 50 or 100 in with, he's making $1 million plus. And now that you're watching him do it, you can see exactly how he does it. So you're going to say, wow, that's pretty cool. I want to be that guy. And then eventually you become that guy. That's kind of the path that most people take. You can start anywhere you want. That's completely up to you. I operate frequently in all four quadrants. Now, for those of you, flipping.com, the Texas REIAs, you know, we have sponsored training, workshops, all kinds of things. And we have a huge network of people that do all this stuff. So we've got resources and support for whatever of these quadrants you're interested in doing. Now, for those of you that kind of specifically said, I'm really mostly interested in commercial, I'll put a little QR code. If you take a quick snapshot of that code, by the way, it doesn't ask for your name or email. It's just, it sends a text from your phone, and then you will get texted back some resources. Like we have a free training series on how to do commercial real estate. So if you take a click on that code, you'll get sent a free training series on how to do commercial real estate, courtesy of the Texas REIAs. And all these QR codes is about building your power team. They're not trying to sell you something, they're trying to offer you something. If you want to invest in real estate, you're going to need all kinds of resources. You're going to need deals and money and marketing tools and title companies and power teams and resources, right? And that's what you get at your REIA. You can get all the different resources you need, regardless of which type of real estate investing you want to pursue. Now, getting back to our little chart, most of you kind of said you're interested in quadrants 1 and quadrants 2. So we're going to really start by diving into those. You know, and here's the good news. There's a dozen ways to do that. You know, flipping houses alone, there's over 11 different strategies you can use to flip houses. Many of them, most of them, don't even require any money. And then, of course, we like to keep the very best. We have proprietary tools that don't exist anywhere else on the platform, where we have analyzed with big data analysis tools all of the sales in the state of Texas going back 20 years. And we can show animated heat maps that zoom in all the way to the street level. We can show you exactly which streets you should buy and hold on, and exactly which streets you should never buy and hold on. So that's very invaluable information if you're actually interested in buying and holding real estate. So, hi everybody, I'm Phil Grove. I'm one of the co-founders of the Texas REIAs. I've been a real estate investor since December 15, 2003. That's the day I did my very first deal. I've negotiated over 1,200 deals, own over $30 million worth of rental properties. Smartest thing I did along my journey was to hold on to a lot of them, because you don't remember the ones you flip. You remember the ones you hold, and that will determine your wealth in the future more than anything else. Made a lot of money doing this. I actually taught a lot of people how to do this as well. I do enjoy teaching. I didn't actually have some motivation to teach, but I will tell you it's a natural progression. We call this bringing people along for the ride. It's just a natural progression when you start to do this real estate thing, because real estate investing, just for all of you guys that are new here, I'll just give you something about real estate. Really stupid idea. Okay, investing in real estate is a really dumb idea. And if you just ask people, they'll tell you, really dumb idea. And it remains a really dumb idea right up until the moment you do what? What do you think? You make money. And the second you bring home a check, instantly it goes from being a really dumb idea to being a really brilliant idea. And then all the people that told you it was a dumb idea will say, show me how to do that, right? And so there's just kind of this natural opportunity. And I got to tell you, the whole world eventually finds an interest in real estate. Because if you look at the millionaires in this country, 80%, almost 80% got there all or in part through investing in real estate. And the way my brain translates that is really hard to become a millionaire or a multimillionaire not investing in real estate, right? So most people do this at some point in their life, right? So they're curious about it. These are some of the deals that made me some money. I don't have time to go through them all, but I do about a real estate transaction a week in some shape, form, variety, or another. And what that does is it creates a pipeline that we call money in big chunks. Now that sounds cool, money in big chunks, but I'm not here to sound cool. I'm here to teach you. How does this work? The way this business works is as follows. We do things to get people with problems to call us. And here's the really beautiful part. For every problem that exists, for every person, lead, for every address, for every house that exists, we have a strategy that helps them, is about helping people, solves their need, solves their problem, and gets us paid. Sometimes we get singles, sometimes we get doubles, sometimes we get home runs. So for example, let me give you specifics. I found somebody facing foreclosure, big problem, and I gave them an out, something called a short sale that allowed them to sell their house without having to lose everything and have their life destroyed, their credit destroyed for a decade. And I made $16,000 helping somebody solve their problem. REO stands for real estate owned bank owned properties. Banks do not want to own real estate. They're not in the real estate business. So I took it off the bank's hands, solving the bank's problem, and I flipped it and I made $36,000. A guy had a legal problem, had to sell a house by Friday. A realtor cannot sell your house by Friday. I can. Flipped it, made $5,000. Got a property subject to one of my specialties, no money, no credit, flipped it, made $68,000, $5,600 for an assignment. $6,000 for a mortgage assignment, $10,000 for a wholesale, $2,800 for a small referral, $12,400 for a little larger referral. The way this business works is as follows. We do things to get people with problems to call us, and for every problem that exists, we have a solution, a strategy that helps them. It's about helping people, solves their problem, gets us paid. Sometimes we get singles, sometimes we get doubles, sometimes we get home runs. Sometimes I work on a lead, a deal, an opportunity, right, a problem for 6 months, and after 6 months I make $5,000. And I'm like, oh man, 6 months, $5,000. I could have made more money working at Walmart. Thank goodness I'm not working on just one lead at a time. Sometimes my phone rings, and that phone call makes me $55,000 in 48 hours. I'm like, oh man, I wish every time my phone rang I made $55,000 in 48 hours, but that's not how it works either. That's maybe 1 in 100 phone calls. So the question to ask yourself is simple. How often do you get 100 phone calls? How often do you look at 100 deals? Do you look at 100 deals a week? 100 deals a month? 100 deals a year? Well, that's up to you, right? And that's how much marketing that you do. There's 2 essential skills that I need to teach you to be a real estate investor. The first and foremost skill is marketing. Marketing is finding the deal, generating the lead. Okay? A lead is just a name and number of somebody that might want to sell real estate. That's the lifeblood of your business, the lead. right? You need to spend 85% of your time and money on marketing, looking for the deal, generating the lead, outsource everything else. The next skill we have to learn is strategy. We buy houses, doing deals. We sell houses. We help people get rid of houses and mortgages they don't want, can't afford. We do that in a variety of different ways. It solves a variety of different problems. So marketing and strategy are the two skills we're going to learn. Okay, marketing is finding deals. Strategy is doing deals. We use 65 tested, proven methods. We're going to teach you those methods of finding off-market, because we only buy off-market wholesale real estate. We use a dozen different strategies to help people. It's about helping people solve the problem, get ourselves paid. Over half of the marketing methods, by the way, are completely free. And 9 of the 12 investing strategies are actually no money and no credit strategies. And when you learn how to buy real estate, even with no money and with no credit, then how many houses can you buy? All of them. How many would you like to buy? All of them. So I'm going to give you all a little tip here. If I shout out a question and you just kind of say all of them, you're probably going to get it right, just so for the rest of the presentation. Yeah. And whether you have money or not, important concept, you don't have enough anyway. I don't have enough money. Elon Musk does not have enough money. None of you have enough money to be a real estate investor. And I don't care what you got, not even close. You got $500,000 in your checking account, great, good for you, go buy a house. Okay, now you're done. Yep, that was it. Can't buy another house until you sell the first house. No, 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 no. You have to be prepared in this business to buy any property at any price at any time. The life-changing deal of a lifetime could land on your plate tomorrow. Are you ready? You better be. So you have to get comfortable learning the no money strategies, and you have to get comfortable using other people's money. Now, I'm going to tell you, when you use other people's money, you're going to have to pay for the money. But not really, because really the deal pays for the money. And if the deal cannot afford to pay for the money, what would I say about the deal? I'd say the deal sucks. So spend more time finding better deals. So marketing strategy, finding deals, doing deals, finding problems, solving problems. Let us get started by talking about the marketing. Well, actually, first I'm going to tell you a story. This was my first deal. This was actually the very first house that I flipped on December 15, 2003. Now on December 14, 2003, I will tell you, I was scared to death. I was actually being coached and mentored by the two guys who ran the REIA back then, and they both called me on the phone on December 14, 2003. I called them both on the phone on December 14, 2003. I'm scared. I don't want to lose any money. Are you guys sure this is going to work? Yeah, it took 2 seasoned, experienced real estate investors pulling me, kicking and screaming over the starting blocks to get me to do that deal. So if you're scared, I get it. I can relate, and I can help. But I had one other thing that was also motivating me to do that deal. Okay, I was in a job I no longer loved, and I was in a career that I no longer loved. And I got to tell you guys, if you're spending your time doing something you don't love doing, you need to do something different with your life plan. And that's exactly where I was on December 15, 2003. I needed a different life. Okay, you get one life, and man, it just races by. My wife and I recently had a baby boy, and I noticed this last weekend, there's a 15-year-old running around in my house. It's like, what's that? And we're talking about cars, and he's taller than me. Now, I remember feeding him a few times, but how did he get taller than me? Right? And it's like, what happened to the last 15 years? Yeah, he just a blur, right? And if you're not on a trajectory to getting the life that you want, maybe we need to change the trajectory. You know, Olivia was talking earlier about she does a little show for the network. She interviews people in this network every week that are typically millionaires or multimillionaires. Now, I don't know any other network that can point to a member on a weekly basis, by the way, that's typically a millionaire or multimillionaire from leveraging this network. Okay, and she always asks the same question, always gets the same answer. What is your biggest regret? And I've never seen a multimillionaire real estate investor answer that question without giving the exact same answer. They all say the same thing. I wish I started sooner. Yeah, like now would be good. So I told you I was going to tell you what I did right, but I'm also going to tell you what I did wrong. But let's talk about that first deal. Your first deal is your most important deal. And it's kind of like your first kiss, right? Life-changing experience. First deal, life-changing experience. I'll tell you about mine. It took me 6 months to find my first deal. I was actually kind of a slow starter. Got it under contract using contract got right here at the REIA. Bought it using OPM, other people's money. There's over 1,000 private money lenders in this network. Private money is faster, cheaper, better than hard money or any other kind of money. So I used private money. I got a contractor right here at the REIA to fix it for me. Got a realtor right here at the REIA to sell it for me. Got an attorney and title company right here at the REIA to close it for me. And I went to the very first closing and I picked up the very first check for $15,384.26. And do you know when they handed me that check, it was like you unscrewed the cap, popped out the old brain, popped in the new brain. Because right up until the moment that they handed me that check, I was a real estate investor based on theory. And I wasn't even sure I believed the theory. I don't know about this, not sure that's going to work, don't know about this. But the second they handed me that check, you see, I didn't know anything different except I knew it actually worked. And like a switch flipping, I became a real estate investor based on experience. You see, what I realized when they handed me that check is if I did this and this and this again, I get another check. Worked the first time. If I did this, this, and this again, I get another check. And if I did this, this, and this again, I get another check. Yeah, it does get easier, by the way. But the really big deal that I realized when they handed me that check, right at that moment, I realized that I would never, ever, 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 ever have to work for somebody else. Ever, 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 never, ever again. Yeah, and I have not worked for anybody else, even for 5 seconds, since they handed me that check. So if you're new and you're just getting started, my first piece of advice is to focus yourself like a laser beam on that very first deal. That very first deal will change your life, mostly by changing your mindset. Deals 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7 combined, not as hard as deal number 1. So it's all getting started with deal number 1. So like I said, I told you I was going to tell you what I did right, but I'm also going to tell you what I did wrong. I did make one big mistake that every rookie makes on that very first deal. I spent all that time finding the deal. I found the deal, right? Got the check, only to wake up the next day and realize I had absolutely nothing to do except start the whole business all over again. Because the mistake I made is the same mistake that every rookie makes. I finally found a deal. As soon as I found a deal, I turned off the marketing. I put the marketing on hold. I picked up a hammer, started working on the deal. Try to make as much money as I can off of the deal. I finished the deal. I got the check, right? Only to be ready for the next deal, but there was no next deal, so I had to turn on the marketing and get the thing started all over again. And that gets me to my very first takeaway, and here it is. And this is probably the big one. The business of being a real estate investor is the business of finding deals. This whole thing is about finding deals. Why? Because you make the money on the buy. What does that mean? As soon as you get a property under contract, whatever is going to be made or not made, done right at that moment. Yeah, you get the money at the end at the sell, but you make the money on the buy. And once you realize that, you realize you always have to spend 85% of your time and money on marketing, looking for the next deal. With the attitude, the next deal is always more important than the deal you have now. The rookies all screw this up. They find a deal, great, right? But while they're working on the deal, they turned off their marketing. So they get the check, right? And they don't have another deal. So they get the marketing turned on again. Eventually they get it working. Eventually they find a deal, they make money, great. But while they're working on the deal, they're not looking for the next deal. So they reset the marketing. Eventually you get it going again, great, made money, did a deal, and their income goes up and down with big gaps in between. You need your income to go up, 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 up. And the way to do that is to keep the pipeline filled with deals. Never stop marketing. And the way to do that is to always spend 85% of your time and money on marketing, because the next deal is more important than the deal you have now. And hint, the deals you're looking for are not in the MLS. The MLS is the multiple listing service. It's the retail market for real estate. It's where realtors sell real estate. It's where all the people in the world compete with each other to see who will pay the most. And I hate to say it, but when you're competing against all the people in the world, some of those people are stupid. And you don't want to compete against stupid. Well, you don't want to win competing against stupid. Now, don't get me wrong, folks. I love the MLS. I adore the MLS. Why do I adore the MLS? Because after I buy off-market wholesale real estate, where do I want to go sell it? On the MLS. It has been proven that any property posted to the MLS will sell for the most it could possibly be sold for. But that's never where you're going to find heavily discounted wholesale real estate. The very best deal in the entire MLS would rarely be a deal a real estate investor would even take a second look at. So finding deals. Oh, here's the rookie mistake, right? Deal, reset marketing, deal, reset marketing. Income goes up and down and up and down and up. No, no, no. You always spend 85% of your time money looking for the next deal, and you never stop marketing. So once I realized this whole shoot and match is about finding deals, then I started to systematize and study the process of finding deals. And over time, I developed 65 different methods for finding deals. No, that's actually not really totally accurate to say I developed 65 methods. What would be more accurate is to say I found 65 things that work, and I started to do those things. In fact, I need to teach you all a really important lesson, maybe the most important lesson that I'm going to teach you today. But for me to teach you this next lesson, first, I'm going to unteach you all something. So I'm going to unteach you all something. Okay, when you guys were in elementary school, if you looked over the paper next to you and you copied down the answers, that was called what? Cheating. And you were all told that cheating is what? Bad. Wrong. Okay, we're not a bunch of little kids. We're not in elementary school anymore. Going forward, I need you all to unlearn that. Because going forward, guess what? Cheating is actually the shortcut. What am I saying? What I'm trying to say is this. Guys, there's nothing you're trying to do. There's absolutely nothing that you're trying to figure out that I and other people haven't already done and figured out. Everything, and I mean everything, and I mean absolutely everything about this business is completely understood. We know what's in the soil. We know the zoning. We know the guys who write the zoning. We know the appreciation rate down to the street address, across all the streets, across all the major cities, across the state of Texas. We know the exact letters to send to the exact mailing list. We know the exact words to say. We know the exact offers to make. We know exactly what objections we're going to get. We know exactly how to overcome the objections. We even know on average how many contracts we're going to get signed for every 20,000 letters we send out. Everything, and I mean everything, and I mean absolutely everything about this business is completely understood. So once I realized everything I was trying to do and everything I was trying to figure out, other people had done and figured out, I stopped trying to figure everything out, and I just started to, here's this word, copy, right? Copy the tested and proven ways to find off-market deals. Now, some of these methods take time, and some of these methods take money. When you get started, you probably have more time and less money. Once you get going, you have more money and less time. I will be honest with you, I don't spend any time anymore on marketing. I outsource 100%. But when you're getting started, you're probably going to insource more. So then, what are all these different marketing methods? Well, let me teach you a whole bunch. The first set of strategies has to do with direct mail or marketing lists. So what do you do with marketing lists? Well, you can do anything you want with marketing lists. For example, you could send them letters or postcards. Or you could call them on the phone. Or you could send them a text message. Or you could drop a voicemail recording into their voicemail box even without calling them using CRM. Or you can knock on their door. Or you could do a combination of those things. You could even have an AI chatbot chat with them while you're sleeping, so it can talk to 10,000 people while you're sleeping and then schedule appointments with you, right, with the ones that actually want to talk to you. Okay, that's what I do. So that's called marketing. Okay, so what are some of the popular marketing lists? By the way, when you're talking to somebody online, through chat or even voice, you know it's probably not a person anymore. Everybody knows that, right? Yeah, kind of scary, huh? So what are some of the popular marketing lists? Well, you can get a list of people that didn't pay their property taxes. People that are 30, 60, 90, or 120 days late paying their mortgage, facing foreclosure. You can get a list of people who've just been scheduled to go to the foreclosure auction. You can get a list of people who have filed for divorce. Two people were combining their income, right, to pay a mortgage. Now one of them's gone. Well, the one that's left is probably having trouble, right, paying the mortgage by themselves. You can get a list of people who've inherited a house from somebody that passed away. People who have inherited a house that's going through the probate process. You can get a list of people who are modeled to be in financial distress. Artificial intelligence uses intelligence to analyze big data to figure out, they know everything about you, right? Which people are in financial distress. People that just got dismissed from bankruptcy. You can get a list of non-owner occupied. These are people that own a house. They don't live in the house they own. Technically, those are landlords, and a lot of them are what we call accidental landlords. What does that mean? They couldn't sell a house, so they rented it out. Or they inherited a house with a tenant in it. Or they let an ex-spouse or business partner or a neighbor or friend stay in a house. They didn't really plan on being a landlord, but now they're the landlord. They don't really know how to be a landlord, and very often they eventually become a motivated seller. You can get a list of people who rent to people on public assistance. You can get a code enforcement list. You know the city is already driving around issuing citations for abandoned houses, hoarder houses, deferred maintenance houses. Do you know you can get the city to give you a list of every problem property in the city? Did you know that? You can even get an expired listing list. This is a list of people that hired a realtor, tried for a long time to sell the house, and it didn't sell. So what do we know about these people? We know 100% of these people would like to sell their house, probably now more than ever. But they probably need solutions that realtors don't offer. Well, hello, that's exactly what investors do offer. So letters, phone calls, chat messages, whatever, to these lists of people with problems. Some of them call you back. Those are called leads. If you make them an offer that solves their problem, we have an offer for every problem. Some of them will say yes, and those are called deals. With a website, you can get leads on the internet, bayonet signs, little plastic signs, say we buy houses. Why do you see those signs? Because they actually work. Online ads certainly work. Email autoresponders, magnetic signs, a little sign on the side of your car. You buy a little sign on the side of your car, just driving around, you get leads for the rest of your life. Door hangers, you don't want to pay postage. You can pay somebody 10 cents a door to put your flyer or door hanger on every house in a neighborhood. Here's one that's pretty much free, driving for dollars. I recommend this for everybody. This is just driving around and looking for problems. Like sometimes I'm just driving around and I see a tarp on a roof. They might as well wave a big red flag. Desperate motivated seller, please buy my house. I mean, think about this. Somebody's most valuable asset, a house, has a serious problem, right? A leak, and their solution was to do what? To go buy a $5 tarp at Home Depot. How come they didn't just replace the roof? What do you think? Exactly. Same guy not paying the roof, not replacing the roof, not paying his insurance, not paying his taxes, probably not paying his mortgage. Sooner or later, an investor is going to go ahead and do that deal. What are the other ways to find off-market deals? Oh, wait. We interrupt this program for a special announcement. Yeah, what is this? Well, you know, I mentioned before the Texas REIAs provides resources to Texas real estate investors. And we're going to do a market update tonight. We're going to do a commercial presentation tonight. There's investment opportunities, your power teams, money, resources, deals, leads, marketing tools, all the things you need to be real estate investors, and a network of people to do it with are in a REIA. And another thing that Texas REIAs provides is training, world-class training on how to invest in real estate, both commercial and residential. And the beauty of the training from the local REIA is not only is it world-class, i.e. better than all the other training, but it is also free. So you can spend a fortune on training. I know a number of out-of-state companies, they come into Texas, they typically charge $1,000 for a 3-day workshop, and it's some generic kind of traveling road show, works kind of sort of a little bit everywhere, one-trick pony kind of a show. No, this is not what this is. This is Texans teaching Texans how to invest in Texas using strategies that work here. So it's called the Flipping Real Estate Workshop. It's sponsored by Texas REIAs and Flipping.com. And this is live, practical, actionable, detailed step-by-step training. Where we don't teach 1 or 2 tricks, we teach all 12 strategies because you need to know them all. We teach all 65 ways to find off-market, because that's what we buy, off-market wholesale real estate. And we even teach all of the sales scripts. What are sales scripts? These are literally the exact magic words that you say to get somebody to accept your contract, your offer on their property. So I'll give you an example. Recently, I found this woman here in Texas, and I said some magic words to her. Now, you've heard of Jack and the Magic Beanstalk. That's pretty impressive, right? He had magic beans. I have magic words. Let me tell you about my magic words. By simply uttering these magic words to this woman here in Texas, after I said these magic words to her, she gave me her house. Handed me the keys, the deed. Beautiful house. Nothing wrong, didn't need any repairs at all. Spectacular house, great condition, fabulous, right? I didn't even have to pay her a single penny. Didn't give her any money at all. She gave me this beautiful house with all the finance, everything. She just said, here's the house, thank you for taking my house, because of these magic words. Now, who's feeling a little bit skeptical right now? Raise your hand if you're feeling skeptical right now. Okay, who's not feeling skeptical right now? You believe that? You believe that? Are you kidding me? I'm baiting you guys. I'm trying to make you skeptical, right? I mean, I just made a pretty ridiculous claim. I just claimed that I had these magic words. Am I simply saying magic words, right? Some woman just gives me her house for no money at all and says, thank you for taking it. I mean, it's pretty outrageous. So who's feeling a little skeptical? Raise your hand if you're feeling skeptical. I expect you to feel skeptical. Please remain skeptical. I want you to be skeptical, because in a few minutes, when I demonstrate what I actually did, the more skeptical you are right now, the more impressed you're going to be when you see how it actually works, okay? And those are what are called closes. My most fun thing to teach, because it's like people see it and they're like, oh my God, wow, that's freaking genius. So yeah, learn how to partner. Great way to get started is through partnering. You don't have to partner. But look, if you get people with more experience to fund your deals and partner and split profits with you. Now, everybody always says the same thing when I explain this. Like, they're like, why would somebody do that? Why would like a multimillionaire real estate investor want to partner with a rookie? Well, let me give you all a fact of life. This is how life works. If you ever want to do business with somebody operating a higher business stature than you, how do you do that? You're going to have to help them before they will help you. That's how life works. You have to give before you get. So what could you possibly do to get a multimillionaire real estate investor to want to help you? All right, okay? Find them a money-making deal, because that's what they want, and then offer to do some legwork and split profits with them. You don't have to do that, but it's a great way to get started, and it costs nothing. All right, learn how to access funding. We have over 1,000 private money lenders in this network. So we got some workshops coming up. We do this live and in person. Highly recommend you do it live and in person, or we also simulcast online. And it's for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and it's coming up. Now, we also have a commercial workshop. I'll talk about that a little bit later for those of you that are interested in commercial. We usually recommend part 1 and part 2. Start with the residential workshop and then go on to the commercial workshop. They blend together perfectly. The workshop is a 3-city tour: Dallas, Houston, Austin. Those are the dates and locations. I recommend that you come live. We will have tables, so we're not going to be packed in like sardines like we are here tonight. And I'll give you some more information about it later, so you don't have to write it down now. I'll give you some more information about it later. Now, look at the dates. Pick the date that's best for you. If you have a conflict, like you're busy, you have a conflict, like for example, if your daughter's getting married, I suggest that you cancel the wedding, because the most important thing that will change your life in a good way is going to be this workshop. It's changed a lot of people's lives. So we're going to hand out a little form later on for you guys online. We'll post a link live. If you sign up today, it's free, so great price too. Okay, so what are the other marketing methods? Letters of intent. What is a letter of intent? A letter of intent is an offer. Okay, who should you send an offer to? And the answer is everybody. So I'm going to give you all your first homework assignment. Tomorrow, I want each of you to send 300 people an offer on their home. I'm not kidding. Here's how investors think. Ready, fire, aim. You make the offer, and then you negotiate. You make the offer, and then you do your due diligence. You make the offer, and then you look for the money. You make the offer, and then, and only then, do you think about it. You should make everyone an offer. Why not? Do you know that here in Texas, every time you make somebody an offer, you know you get 4 different options? You might want to write them down. Option number 1, you could buy a house because they might say yes. If you take 300 shots on goal, what do you think is going to happen? Something's going in, even if you suck. And with practice, what do you think happens? You get better, so more of them go in. Some of this is nothing more than a numbers game. If you call 300 people and make them an offer, somebody's going to be like, today's the day we got to sell the house, and you're in the right place at the right time because you gave yourself the opportunity to be lucky. So option number 1, you can buy a house. Option number 2, you can terminate the offer after you make it. Do you know the Texas state promulgated contract gives the buyer the unilateral right to just rip it up, walk away, no harm, no foul, no risk, no penalty, no cost. There's absolutely no risk and no money in making the offer because you can just terminate. Option number 3, you can renegotiate. Do you know that it's much, much easier to renegotiate than it is to negotiate? Especially when everybody calls you back is saying what? They might want to sell, i.e., they want to negotiate. Option number 4 is that you can sell the contract itself to somebody else that has money. Notice only one of those 4 options even required you to come up with any money to buy a house. The point is just make offers and give yourself options. The difference between the rookie and the pro is understanding that. The difference between the people that take 6 months to get started and the people that take 1 month to get started is understanding that. Just get started. Just taking shots on goal, even if you don't know what you're doing, right? Something can go in. And if it's wrong, you can terminate it. So there's no risk, but huge reward. Business cards, for sale by owner. Why would somebody try to sell their own house? Maybe they're lazy. Maybe they're crazy. Maybe they need solutions realtors don't offer, right? So why are there so many different marketing methods? Well, would you rather fish with a hook or would you rather fish with a net? And the answer is you want to fish with a net. And the reason is because this business is a numbers game, and now I'm going to teach you the numbers. I'm going to teach you something right now that it took me 2 years of hard work in the trenches to figure out. By 2005, I'd been a real estate investor for 2 years. So I'm going to shave 2 years of your learning curve right now. And I calculated in my first 2 years, I looked at about 400 houses. I was looking at a house every couple of days, and then I did the math. And here's what I discovered. As a rookie, for every $100 I spent on paid marketing, things like direct mail, I got 1 quality motivated seller lead. As a rookie, for every 3 hours I spent on personal marketing, free marketing like driving around, I got 1 qualified motivated seller lead. Then I discovered that as a rookie, on average, for every 20 leads I got, I made at least $20,000 net profit on a deal. So let me do the math for you. That means as a rookie, every time I drove around for 60 hours, I made at least $20,000 net profit. As a rookie, every time I sent out $2,000 in direct mail, I got a deal that made me at least $2,000 in net profit. Okay, so spend $2,000, make 20. Spend $2,000, make 20. Spend $4,000, make 40. Spend $8,000, make 80. Spend $16,000, make 160. Spend $32,000. You don't have to spend it all at once, by the way. Make $320,000 net profit. Are you starting to like the numbers? It took me 2 years to figure that out. But after working on that for 2 years and looking at that for 2 years, I realized, holy cow, this whole business is just a numbers game, and now I know the numbers. And after I figured this out, I started to think about my business in a completely different way. I now see my business, this business, like the whole thing is just a little black box. And we're going to call that little black box a marketing machine. And the way that little black box works, every time I stick $100 worth of marketing in one end, eventually $1,000 worth of net profit pops out the other end. Now, if you had a little black box, every time you shoved a $100 bill in one end, a $1,000 bill popped out the other end, how many dollars would you stick in the box? All of them. Yeah, that's correct. You have the confidence. You know, at that point, I just started spending money on marketing like a freaking drunken sailor because I knew, right? I just knew. I started spending thousands of dollars a month on marketing. And then I started spending tens of thousands of dollars a month on marketing. And then I hired 2 full-time, 6-figure guys that work for me to this day that spend 100% of their time spending my money on marketing. One just runs the ads, the other does the analytics, right? And today, sometimes I spend as much as $100,000 a month on marketing. Because once you know it's a numbers game, and once you know the numbers, you dial it in and then you dial it up. And how much you dial it up as it'll go. You just dial it in and you dial it up. All right, and that's how I learned about marketing. Sometime later, I actually wrote a book on investing in real estate. I actually don't offer my book anymore. I found it's not that helpful. Real estate is not helpful when it comes to books. And there's a reason. You know, real estate's not that complicated. It really isn't. I went to engineering school. That was complicated. Had to take calculus, calculus 2, calculus 3. By the time I took calculus 3, I had to remember calculus 1 and 2. It was really complicated. I've never had to solve a differential equation to flip a house. It's not that complicated. But unlike engineering and calculus, it's a mile deep. Real estate's a mile wide. There's a million little details. And what that means is learning real estate is not really like learning a skill. It's like learning a language. But you can't learn a language from reading a book. Complete waste of time, right? Go read 100 books on how to speak Spanish. Is that going to learn Spanish? No, you'll learn how to count to 10. That's how far I got. There's only one way to learn Spanish. How do you learn Spanish? Go to Spain. You want to eat or go to the bathroom, you learn some Spanish. You got to hear things 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 times. So anything that would not be helpful in learning Spanish would not be helpful in learning real estate. The only way to learn this is to do it, immerse yourself in it. You got to surround yourself with people that do it. You got to hear things 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 times. It's not complicated, but it's immersion. And it was not until my wife and I joined the local Real Estate Investors Association, started spending time with local real estate investors, that we started picking up enough of the details to actually be able to do this. So I'm about to get into the final part of the presentation. And we're going to talk about strategies, are arguably the more interesting part of the presentation. But I do want to make a point that I started to make earlier. Earlier I said, you know, my job is to make you all into educated and contributing members of this community. We really want you to be participatory and contributing and active. We do these meetings all over Texas. And every time we do these meetings, we always have a lot of new people that come to the meetings. And we call the new people tourists, right? Like, honey, let's go check out the REIA. Nothing wrong with that, okay? But we learned a long time ago, nobody actually makes any money being a tourist. We need people to be active, buying, selling, partnering, lending, borrowing, right? That's where we all make money. But I also learned a long time ago that unfortunately, I can't turn somebody into a real estate investor in 45 minutes. If I could only sprinkle pixie dust on everybody and turn them into real estate investors for 45 minutes, yeah, that would be awesome. I don't know how to do that, but I do, and I know, and I can turn people into real estate investors actually over a period of 24 hours. Or maybe it would be more accurate to say 24 hours spread out over 3 days, giving us the time to get through all the nitty-gritty details on how this business actually works. You know, and this is why the Texas REIA sponsors the Flipping Real Estate Investing Workshop. This is Texans teaching Texans how to invest in Texas using all 12 strategies that work here. All 65 marketing methods, the closes, how to partner, how to access money and deals. Thousands of the most successful investors in Texas got started at this workshop, The Real Deal, Texans teaching Texans how to invest in Texas. So like I said, we're doing a 3-city tour coming in. You can come for free. Do not waste your money on out-of-state training. I guarantee that is not going to get you to where you want to go. You need to be part of a local network. You need to learn the rules and the neighborhoods and how it works here. So we're doing this live. We also simulcast online. You're going to learn all kinds of things. Like we have heat maps. We can show you on a street-by-street level exactly which streets to buy and hold on, exactly which streets you should never buy and hold on. Worth the cost of admission, right? How to get off-market deals from outsourcing. I outsource a lot. How to get paid offering free house remodels. This is my favorite strategy. I will offer to remodel anybody's house for free. I make a fortune remodeling houses for free. You're going to learn how you can do that too. It's an irresistible offer. How about how to get 3% mortgages? Everybody's saying, oh, interest rates went up. You know, we missed our chance to get 3% mortgages. Well, there's a new loan product, and you can get a mortgage for 3%. And here's the really cool part. No money down, no credit check, no paperwork, right? 3% mortgage on a rental property, no money down, no credit check. Anybody can get approved for this literally in 1 minute. Who's a little skeptical right now? Who's a little skeptical right now? Okay, remain skeptical. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to make you wait till the workshop. I'm going to show you that one in just a minute because it's pretty awesome. But yeah, 3% mortgages are better than ever because the new ones are no money down and no credit needed. How about how to use AI to talk to your sellers for you? This is what I do. I don't have time to call 10,000 people, but I have this AI chatbot that does. So it just calls 10,000 people, and then it schedules appointments for me to actually talk to the people that actually want to talk to a person and actually get an offer on their home. How about how to use virtual assistants? I've got 14 virtual assistants in the Philippines. They do all kinds of marketing, social media, and out call sales for me. I pay them what is a fortune in the Philippines, which is like not a lot of money in American dollars because of the exchange rate. So that's just a little taste of what we're going to talk about at the workshop. Doing it live and in person, and we're doing it also simulcast, so you can come live or online or even go back and forth. I recommend live, though. And one other thing I'm gonna tell you, another suggestion. I also suggest that you join the REIA. And membership has its benefits. If you have the slightest interest in being a real estate investor, the very first thing to do is to join your local real estate investor association. As a member of the REIA, let me ask you guys a few questions. Who would like a buyer's list of 20,000 Texas buyers that you could do business with? Who would like a buyer's list of 20,000 buyers? Okay, who would like to have access to 1,000 private money lenders? Private money is faster, cheaper, and better than hard money or any other kind of money. Okay, you need to join the REIA. Okay, who would like to know by street basis which neighborhoods to buy and hold in, which neighborhoods to fix and flip in? Okay, you should be joining the REIA. Who's looking for a power team? So you have contractors, lawyers, money resources, marketing tools. Who's looking for a power team to build their business? Okay, you should join the REIA. So if you join the REIA, you get all of that because you become a member of this organization. When you come to the workshop, you also get to get upgraded as a VIP, which means what? Which means you get to sit up front, you get a nice desk, you get VIP lunches and lunch sessions. So if I'm going to spend 3 days doing something, honestly, I want to do it VIP. But most important, you become a member of this community, which means you have access to 20, 25,000 other members. That's how you can interact with me and all of the other members. We have a Texas Money Resource Guide, a training program, and we even sponsor special events as well. So that is what the REIA is. And you can join the REIA for $250, but we have a special deal. If you join it tonight, drum roll please, you can join for $100. So if you join the REIA, it's $100. It is a 1-year membership. You will not be automatically renewed, but you can renew after the year if you want to. And you get all of these wonderful benefits. And if you join, you can join just by yourself. You do not have to join for your spouse, because when you come to the workshop, you can bring your spouse, business partner, significant other, and you can bring them as a VIP as well. Also, we have a commercial workshop that we also provide to all the members of the REIA as well. And we also have a really cool poster. I'll talk about the poster a little bit later, but these are the 273 things you need to know. We have some of these posters, and we'll give you some posters later. So that is it. Do we have some forms? Can you hand out the forms? So what we're going to do is we're going to hand out a little form. We're going to get back to the training, but before we get back to the training, we're going to hand out a little form. This is how you can come to the workshop for free. For you guys online, we're going to post a link right now online. Just click online and you can join us online. Now, the form is really simple. Just fill it out. Do print clearly, please. because if we can't read your email address, then we're going to send your tickets to somebody else who will get to have their life changed instead of you. We have 3 different options. These are the 3 dates, right? And there's a date printed. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The date printed on the form is the first day, the Friday. So it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The workshop's exactly the same workshop in Austin, in Dallas, and in Houston. So pick it by date. That is the best date for you. Now you can come to the Austin one even if you're from Dallas or whatever. You know, sometimes when I do this kind of thing, I want to go to another city. Maybe you have friends or family in another city. Or you can come to your own city. That's really up to you. So pick the date and location that works best for you. Let us know if you're wanting to come live or online. If you're going to come live or online, just check which one that you're going to do. Even if you come live, you can go back and forth with online. And then please, this is an ask, please join the REIA. It is only $100 if you join today, and you get vast benefits. Mostly you get upgraded to the VIP at the workshop. Man, if I'm going to go to the workshop, I want to go VIP. But you also get membership in this community, which means you have access to thousands and thousands of other investors. That's where you can get your power team put together, find buyers, sellers, money, resources, etc. Right? If you have the slightest interest in real estate, you definitely want to join your local REIA. So if you join the REIA today, it's $100. The workshop is free. And then give us a little more information about yourself down here, and we will try to connect you with useful resources. We will collect the form at the end, so you don't have to fill it out right now. You can if you want to, but we will collect the form at the end. And what we'll do is we'll give you the receipt, and then we'll give you a little envelope with your tickets and a little letter welcoming you to the network and some details about the workshop itself. Like I said, the dates, Austin, Dallas, Houston, pick the date that works best for you, and those are the locations as well. And I'll post this up again at the end, so we'll give you a little more detail later. I do want to, though, get back into the training and get into the conversation about strategies and how the mechanics of these deals actually work. So there's thousands of books and tapes and seminars on how to invest in real estate. And you could certainly spend a lot of time and money on all your training and your education. You can go to workshops, you can watch videos, you can read books on how to do short sales, how to do buy and hold, mortgage assignments, how to do auction options, referrals, wholesaling, how to do contracts for deeds, lease options, house swapping, how to do wraparound mortgages, equity partnering, and of course how to do fix and flip. And you can certainly spend a lot of time and money on all that training and education. In fact, my wife and I have actually spent over $100,000 on training, coaching, seminars, books. Most of it was great, some of it was not great. It all sounded great. But I don't feel bad about spending over $100,000 on our education, because we've actually made many millions of dollars from our education. But I do have a little pet peeve at how most people learn and how most people get taught how to invest in real estate. Because when you look at all of these different investing strategies, people always ask, well, what's the best one? Well, I'm going to answer that right now. When you look at all of these investing strategies, here's the good news. They all work. All of these strategies can make you money investing in real estate. That's the good news. The bad news is that they each only work in unique situations. You see, each of these strategies is actually the solution to a specific problem or situation. But remember what I said earlier, your job one is finding a deal. So here's a brand new investor hunting for a deal, and it generates a lead. What is a lead? The name and number of somebody that might want to sell real estate. Well, if this guy had gotten the right training, he would have learned how to help that particular seller solve that particular problem using a strategy called a wraparound mortgage. But that's not the training he got. This guy just went to one of those wholesale seminars and all he learned how to do was wholesaling. So he's looking for a wholesale deal. He didn't find one. He found a wrap deal. He doesn't know how to do that. So he can't make any money on that lead, and he can't help that seller. So what's he going to do? He's going to do some more marketing, and he's going to generate another lead. And now if he only knew how to do a mortgage assignment, he could solve a problem and get a check, but he doesn't know how to do that, does he? Because all he learned how to do was wholesaling. So he's still looking for a wholesale deal. So he does some more marketing. He generates another lead. Now if he only knew how to do an auction option, he could solve a big problem, get himself a big check, but he doesn't know how to do that because all he knows how to do is wholesaling, and he's still looking for a wholesale deal. are you starting to see the problem? This is big rookie mistake number 2. There's 30,000 YouTube videos that teach people how to get started investing in real estate. And what most of that education says is you need to get started by learning one strategy, and this is the best one. No, this is the best one. No, this is the best one. Well, whatever. You need to learn a strategy, make money on that strategy, and after you learn how to make money on that strategy, later on you can learn some of the other strategies. And it sounds pretty good, it feels pretty good, but forgive my language when I say this, that is a completely ass-backwards way to go about this. Saying that you need to get started by learning one strategy and make money on one strategy, that's kind of like saying you need to go to Las Vegas and learn how to bet on one number on the roulette wheel. And only after you make enough money betting over and over and over again on that one number of the roulette wheel, later on you can learn how the other numbers work. Well, that's ridiculous. Yet that's how 95% of real estate investors get started investing in real estate. And is it no surprise that 95% of real estate investors give up before they ever get going? And probably 99% of wholesalers. So let's talk about wholesaling. There's nothing wrong with wholesaling. In fact, wholesaling is one of the 12 strategies that I use, and it's one of the 12 strategies that I teach. The problem, however, with wholesaling is that I would argue of the 12 strategies I use and teach, I would argue wholesaling is actually the hardest one to do that on average makes the least amount of money. So when somebody tells me, I want to get started by wholesaling, here's how my brain translates that plan. I want to do the hardest thing there is to do that on average makes the least amount of money. And I know from my experience that about 99 out of 100, maybe not 100 out of 100, but about 99 out of 100 people that try to execute that plan end up giving up before they ever get going. Because if you do something that's a lot of work that doesn't make you a lot of money, you're going to give up before you ever get going. For example, how many of you have read the book, The Millionaire Wholesaler? Yeah, that's because it has never been written. Nor will it ever be written, because it's the hardest thing to do that makes the least amount of money. So I'm going to show you what the top 5% of investors do. And by the way, my advice is to play to be in the top 5%, or don't bother, because they make all the money. So here's what I do, and here's how I'm going to teach you at the workshop. What I do is I bet on all of the numbers on the wheel, and then I spin the wheel a lot. What do I mean by I bet on all of the numbers on the wheel? I use all 12 strategies. Why not learn all 12 ways to fill out a contract? Why not learn all 12 ways to solve a problem? You spend time and money, it's called marketing, to get somebody with a problem to call you. If there's a way to help them and solve the problem and get paid, you need to help them and solve the problem and get paid. And once you know all 12 strategies, these 12 strategies collectively solve every problem there is. There is no exception. Motivated sellers, non-motivated sellers, free and clear, hopelessly underwater. And then once you learn that, what do? You're going to spin the wheel a lot, which means look at a lot of deals, which means take a lot of shots on goal, which means do a lot of marketing, right? Give yourself lots of chances by looking at a lot of deals. So that's what the top 5% of investors do. Play to be in the top 5% or don't bother. So you need to know all the strategies. Let's teach you some strategies. Actually, I'm going to tell you another quick story. This was my first big deal. After I was a real estate investor for just over 2 years, I flipped this house. Actually made $291,000 flipping this house. Pretty good deal. But the more interesting part of the story is I was actually the 8th investor at bat. So what does that mean? It means 7 other real estate investors looked at this deal before me and passed on the deal. So how's that even possible? How could 7 different real estate investors pass on a deal, an opportunity to make almost $300,000 on a single deal? How's that even possible? I'm going to tell you it's not just possible, it's actually typical. Hold on. Not just possible, it's actually typical. So let me tell you the rest of the story. The first guy walks into this house and says, I'd love to buy your house, but you're underwater. You owe more money than the house is worth. You can't even afford to sell me the house. Second guy walks into this house and says, I'd love to buy your house, but you're in bankruptcy. I can't buy a house from somebody in bankruptcy. Third investor walks into this house and says, well, I can help you avoid a foreclosure by doing something called a short sale, but I can't do that while you're in bankruptcy. Plus you have a mid-construction project. I don't do mid-construction project. I walked into this house and I said, my, oh my, oh my, you have a lot of big problems, don't you? Big problem means what? Big opportunity. You know, it took 1, 2, 3 different strategies to solve the guy's problem. I solved the problem, I got the check. My competition was a bunch of one-trick ponies. Most of my competitors are a bunch of one-trick ponies. 30,000 YouTube videos teach people to be one-trick ponies. One-trick ponies are annoying. They get in the way at times, but they don't last long. Guys, if you think you're going to find pretty houses at big discounts just waiting for you, hanging off of trees, yeah, you're smoking crack, okay? This is what opportunity looks like. It's a big bundle of problems with a nice, pretty bow around it. I want a house where half the house burned down. I want a house that had a meth lab that exploded in the garage. I want a house that flooded. I want a house that has mold. I want a house where someone was murdered in the living room. Oh, yeah. You can make a killing on a murder house. I own one. How do you make a killing on a murder house? Seriously, seriously. It's a thinking. You got to think right. Murder is not common. Stigma is common. So it's a stigma house. So how do you make a killing on a murder house? What do you think it cost to buy a murder house? Anybody want to guess?
Probably half the price.
Yeah, less than that, like 20 cents on the dollar. Yeah, 20 cents on the dollar. Yeah, so 20 cents on the dollar. And you know, when you buy that house, you know what everybody says when they look at that house? They look at that house, they're like, that's a murder house. That's a murder house. And a year later, everybody going by that house, they point at that house, and they're like, man, something bad happened in that house. Right, a few years later, when they're going by that house, they kind of look around, they're like, somewhere around here something happened. And about 5 years later, you know what they say when they look at that house? How much? Stigmas go away. Yeah. Somebody gets shot in a bar, it's a crime scene. A few years later, it's a tourist attraction. Okay, bought a house for $180, it's now worth $480. What did I do with it? I did nothing but rent it out to a guy that didn't mind living in a murder house. I gave him a deal. But the point is that problems are opportunities. And when you're looking at a problem, you're thinking, I don't want any problems. You're thinking, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. All entrepreneurs have that in common with all entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs solve problems. We're real estate entrepreneurs. We solve real estate problems. So my competition was a bunch of one-trick ponies. Most of my competitors are a bunch of one-trick ponies. So I'll tell you another story. One of my students recently bought one of those $150,000 Teslas, paid cash for it. You know what he calls it? He calls it his air car, H-E-I-R, air car. Yeah, somebody died without a will. But they did have 42 heirs. And everybody said, no way, man, no way, you're going to get 42 people to agree on something, big problem. Well, he rolled up his sleeves and it took a little effort, but eventually got 42 people to agree that a little bit of something is a whole lot better than a whole lot of nothing. Now he's driving around in a $150,000 air car. Get it? Problems are opportunities, big problems, big opportunities. So we do marketing to find problems, and then we use strategies to solve the problems. So let me teach you a couple strategies. The first strategy I'm going to teach you today is wholesaling. It's actually the easiest one to teach. I'll teach you right now. How does this work? You simply find a property and get it under contract. How much does it cost to get a property under contract? Nothing. Can we all afford that? I think so. Then after we get the property under contract, instead of buying the property, we're going to sell or assign our equitable interest, our contract, to another investor for a fee. All right, how much is the fee? I don't know, $500 to $5,000 on a small deal, $10,000 to $25,000 on an average deal, $25,000 or more on a big deal. And this, my friends, is a no money and no risk strategy. I've discovered it's really hard to lose money when you're not actually spending or making any money. So let me show you an example of a deal. When you come to the workshop, I teach theory. I just taught you the theory. But then I always back the theory up with a story. How did somebody actually do it? Because the truth is you learn more from the story than you do from the theory. So I'll give you an example. And at the workshop, I'm going to probably tell you at least 100 different stories. So this is Kimberly. She came to the workshop, and she did her first deal and told me about it after the fact. And it was this house here. And the story went like this. Her mom was visiting her from out of town, so she's in the car with her mom, and her mom's like, Kim, where are we going? Oh, well, Mom, we're going to get a house under contract. What? Kim, are you crazy? You just graduated from college. You don't have any money. You don't have any credit. You don't even have a job. What do you mean you're getting a house under contract? Don't worry, Mom, I know what I'm doing. So Kim's mom watched Kim walk into this house and offer the seller $265,000 cash for the house. And he signed a contract. Now, obviously, it was a motivated seller. Obviously, they talked on the phone ahead of time. Kim then took that contract and she posted it out to this network. You know, there's like 25,000 people on this network. You know, every minute of every day, we meet every minute of every day online, right? You know, over the last decade, thousands and thousands and thousands of times over the last decades, people of this network post their deals, offers, questions, contracts, resources back and forth on that network, right? That's where the deals are, that's where the money is. So Kim posted this deal out to the network, and guess what? Several members of the network wanted to buy that contract, that deal from Kim. So Kim just sold her contract to another member of the REIA for $17,000. So she just sold the contract to another member of the REIA for $17,000. So now Kim is a believer. Well, actually, Kim was a believer. Now Kim's mom is a believer. So what would Kim have done with the contract had nobody wanted to buy the contract? What would she have done with the contract? Right? Ripped it up, terminate, right? Didn't need to. So who bought the contract? Another member of the REIA by the name of Tatiana. Let me tell you about Tatiana. She's a friend of mine. Tatiana paid Kim $17,000 for the contract. It then became Tatiana's contract. Crossed Kim's name out as the buyer, wrote her name in, wrote her company's name in. Tatiana then bought the house for $265,000 cash because she had the cash. She kept it for 6 months as a month-to-month rental. After the tenants moved out, she did a renovation, a small addition. She sold it after owning it for 12 months. And then when she sold it, she made almost $100,000 of net profit that she only had to pay long-term capital gains taxes, no income taxes. Do you think Tatiana was pretty happy that Kim found that deal for her? What do you think? Yeah, you bet. So let's see what we got here. Do a little audience participation. By show of hands, how many of you are cash buyers? Raise your hand if you're a cash buyer. Let me ask you a different question. How much cash do you have to be a cash buyer? Zero. How much cash do you have to make a cash offer? Zero. You don't have to have any cash to make a cash offer. You don't have to have any cash to be a cash buyer. You just need to know people with cash. So let me ask you guys another question. Does anybody here know somebody that you could call if you got a smoking hot deal to buy a property for a big discount for cash? Does anybody know somebody you could call in that situation? Like who? How about me? Yeah, what do you think I'm doing up here, guys? Over here. You know, and in fairness, there's hundreds of guys just like me on that network that would be please as punch. Right? If you guys got some properties under contract, you don't want it for yourself, you pitch it back to the group. That's why we want you. That's why we need you. That's why we'll even train you on how to be educated and contributing members of this community. Are you starting to see how this works? But I can see I have my work cut out for me. So let me try this again. By a show of hands, how many of you are now cash buyers? Oh, fantastic. I love talking to a room full of cash buyers. And the network, the REIA, instantly puts people with cash in connection with people with deals, right? Instantly puts people with deals in connection with people with cash, right? So welcome to the wholesale marketplace. Okay, one more strategy, we'll wrap things up. Buying properties subject to the mortgage. This is buying real estate even with no money and with no credit. I am a nationally recognized expert at teaching this strategy. I could be the national expert. I don't know. Probably not. Maybe. Who knows? I've taught literally tens of thousands of people. I don't know if anybody's taught as many people that have actually gone out and done it as I have. what does this mean? How does this work? How does real estate work? When somebody buys real estate, how does that work? They go to a title company, they sign a stack of documents. Most of the documents at a closing are disclaimers and disclosures, but there's two documents that get signed at the closing that actually make the transaction happen. The two documents that actually make the transaction happen are the deed and the note. The deed and the note. Notice these are two completely separate documents, a deed and a note. Now, normally the same guy is on both, because whoever signs the deed, whoever name is on the deed, that's who owns the house. Whoever name is on the note, that's who's responsible for the mortgage. So there's a deed and a note. Normally the same guy's on both. The guy buys a house, his name is on the deed, his name is on the note. He owns the house and he's responsible for the mortgage. That's normal. He moves into the house, it's his house, and all the rights and privileges and responsibilities and the benefits of home ownership, they go to him. It's his house. Okay, it's his house. At the end of the month, he gets a statement from the bank, says you owe us $1,000 for your mortgage. He writes the bank a check for $1,000, bank gets a check, they cash the check. Bank's happy, he's happy, everybody's happy. That's how it works. And then the guy goes on to get married. And you know, well, Texas is a community property state. So after the guy gets married, the wife is added to the deed. Now there's two names on the deed, his and hers. There's two names on the deed, okay? But his name is still the only name on the note. And then time goes on and things don't work out and they get a divorce. And in their situation, the wife gets the house in the divorce. So now something kind of interesting happens. Now her name is the only name left on the deed, but his name is still the only name on the note. So the question is, as long as he keeps sending a check every month to the bank, or she starts sending the bank a check every month, or a tenant, or a property manager, a neighbor, investor, friend, or family member, or somebody sends the bank a check every month, the question is, does the bank actually care who wrote the check? No. What do you think? No. There's some dude sitting at the bank getting paid $9.82 an hour to open envelopes. He's like, oh, we got a check. Right, came on time for the right amount. It cleared. We're good. So if you're listening to my story so far, I just told you all a story about a spouse, about a woman, about a person that was able to acquire real estate, even with no money and with no credit. So there it is, a way somebody can acquire real estate with no money and no credit.
Marry and get divorced.
Yeah. All right, so here's the really, really good part. You can all do exactly the same thing, and you don't have to get married to do it. Because here's the deal, and this is the big deal. Any of you, anybody can go up to any homeowner that has any loan, any mortgage from any lender on any house at any time, and you can make them an offer. And the offer any of you can make with any homeowner that has any loan from any lender on any house at any time is this. Here's the offer. I will make the payments on your mortgage for you going forward, or I will find somebody to make the payments on your mortgage for you going forward. What's the catch? The catch is you have to hand the deed, which is ownership of the property, to me. It's called buying a property subject to the existing mortgage. And you can do this with any homeowner that has any loan, any mortgage from any lender on any house at any time. And the only person on this planet that has to agree to this transaction is the person whose name is on the deed, not the bank. The bank has no say in this transaction. There are federal laws that regulate this transaction. Anybody can transfer their deed to anybody. Anybody can pay somebody else's mortgage if they want to. So if you're listening to me closely, here's what you just heard me say. You can buy any house in Texas from any homeowner in Texas, has any loan from any lender. You can buy that person's house at any time, and you can buy and own that house even with no money and with no credit by simply offering to take over the payment on their mortgage, or even offering to find somebody else to take over the payment on their mortgage in exchange for them simply handing the deed, which is ownership of the property, to you. And once you learn how to buy real estate with no money and with no credit, then how many houses can you buy? All of them. It is a very scalable process. So you're simply agreeing to pay a seller's mortgage going forward in exchange for the deed. Now, once somebody transfers their deed to you, you own it. You can do whatever you want. You can renovate it, retail sell it to somebody else. You can wrap it. You can assign it. You can keep it as a rental property. You can keep it as your own homestead if you want. I've helped many of my friends buy their very own homestead here in Texas, even with no money and with no credit. So how much money can you make? Well, there's a lot of ways to make a lot of money once you buy real estate with no money and with no credit. Small flip, at least 10 or 15,000, typically a lot more, and this is another little or no money, little or no risk strategy. Let me show you an example of a deal. This is one of the $30 million worth of houses that I personally own here in Texas. Now, if I wanted to buy $30 million worth of houses, traditionally, think about it. I'd have to put 20% down at least every time I bought a house. In other words, I'd have to be a multi-millionaire just to become a millionaire. Well, I wasn't a millionaire when I started buying property. So how was I able to buy $30 million worth of properties? Well, it turns out most of them were bought using this strategy. It requires no money and no credit, including this one. So let me tell you about this deal. House is worth $150,000. The owner owes $110,000 on the mortgage. So this house has $40,000 in equity. The owner had the house rented out for $1,600 a month rent, and she's paying, including tax and insurance, $1,100 on the mortgage. So in other words, this house is generating $500 a month of gross cash flow. It should have, it could have, and it would have been a perfect rental property, except for one major problem. This woman had lost her job. She was continuing to collect the rent because she's living on the rent, but she stopped paying the mortgage. 4 days before the first Tuesday of the month, when the bank was going to foreclose on her, I knocked on her front door. Can I help you? I am here to help you. But what can you do? There's no time. They're going to foreclose on me. How could you stop it? How could you help? They're going to foreclose on me. There's no time. What can you do? How can you help? Here's what I can do. I can stop the foreclosure. I can reinstate your loan. I can catch up your mortgage payments. I can make your mortgage payments for you going forward. I can even repair all your credit. Well, that's amazing. What's the catch? You simply have to hand the deed, which is ownership of the property, to me. And she said, deal. Why in the world did she say deal? Because in 4 days, she's losing the house. That was a done deal. But she wasn't just going to lose the house. In addition to losing the house, she was going to get a little bonus to go along with it. What do you call the bonus? A foreclosure. And here's what I told her with the little magic words I had to say next. You may think a foreclosure is the end of your problem. It's not. It's the beginning of a 10-year nightmare that starts with the sheriff and his deputies dragging you and your family and all of your possessions to the curb in front of your friends and neighbors. It's 10 years of dealing with the IRS, potentially garnishing your wages to collect on a 1099 that could be issued against you for up to the full value of your loan. It's 10 years of dealing with the lender, potentially filing a lawsuit against you for up to the full value of the home. It's 10 years of dealing with creditors calling you, hounding you day and night to collect on the judgment from the lawsuit. It's 10 years of not being able to buy another home, not being able to buy a car, not being able to get a credit card, open certain bank accounts, rent certain apartments, or even get certain jobs. In other words, it's a bullet to the head. And nobody wants all that. And I stopped all of that from happening to her. And she was thrilled. She even said thank you. And the bank was thrilled because they didn't want the house back. They just wanted their money. So it gave them their money. And the tenants were thrilled because they didn't want to get kicked out of the house. They just wanted to keep renting the house. So I let them keep renting it for me. But mostly I was thrilled because for $4,500, which is what it cost me to reinstate that loan, I now own this beautiful $150,000 house. It came with a loan. It came with $40,000 of equity, all mine. Came with tenants paying me $1,600 a month rent. After I paid the bank $1,100, I put $500 back in my pocket. And if you think that's cool, my wife and I own $30 million worth of these properties. Some of them take small amounts of money like this. Most of them honestly took more money than this, but then some of them took absolutely no money at all. How many of you would like me to walk you step by step by step through how to do this deal? Yeah? All right, we're all out of time. All right, I'll finish. I need to wrap up because we got to get into our next presentation. We got a market update, commercial presentation. So I love this deal. But I'll bet you don't know why I love this so much. Some of you are like, oh, you're making $500 a month. Yeah, that's not it. $500 is not going to affect my life or my lifestyle at all. What I love about this is by doing this over and over and over again, over the last 21 years, my wife and I were able to accumulate a portfolio that's now worth $30 million. In fact, just over the last 3 years, that portfolio went up in value by more than 30%. In other words, just over the last 3 years, my wife and I became more than $10 million richer from having done this thing over and over again. This thing that required little or no money and no credit. That's what I love about this. This is the strategy that allows anybody, regardless of money or credit, to become multi-millionaires. Because I don't care how much money you have, you don't have enough money. I don't care how much credit you have, I don't care if it's good or bad, doesn't matter, you don't have enough, right? You want to do something that's going to make you a lot of money, you got to do a lot of deals, you got to do it in a scalable way, and this scales infinitely. And once I realized the wealth potential of this strategy, I actually made one additional tweak to the strategy. I no longer buy these houses in my name. In fact, I no longer buy these houses in my company's name. Now when I buy these houses, I prefer to buy them in my IRA. How many of you were aware that you could do this transaction with your IRA? Okay, well, for the rest of you, you know you can do this transaction with your IRA. Come to the workshop. One of our vendors, Direct to Trust IRA, they'll set it up for you. We'll set it up for you so you can do this with your IRA. So what happens when my IRA does this deal? Well, my IRA issues the $4,500 reinstatement fee to the bank. The deed transfers to the IRA. Every month, the property manager deposits $1,600 of rent into the IRA. Every month, the IRA automatically issues a check for $1,100 to pay the mortgage, and $500 goes back into the IRA. But that's not the good part. So then what's the good part? Over the next 25 years, this property will double in value, and it'll double again. And even at very conservative appreciation rates, it'll almost double a third time. Something interesting happens to the loan on this property over the next 25 years. What happens to the loan? It gets paid off by the tenant. Thank you very much, tenant. In other words, every time my IRA does this deal, my IRA ultimately ends up owning an asset worth about $1 million that by then I own free and clear. And because my IRA is also a Roth IRA, when I sell the asset in retirement, 100% of the proceeds are tax-free. Tax-free. Did y'all just see what I did? Yeah. I just showed you how to turn a $4,500 IRA into $1 million tax-free doing one deal one time. Helping a woman out of a horrible situation. Helping tenants stay in a property they wanted to stay in. Helping a bank not take a property back they didn't want back. All that doing it once. The average retired person at the age of 65 has a net worth of $62,000. It's pathetic. If you just did this one deal, one time, you'd be 25 times richer than the average retired person just doing this once. But I'll tell you something else I've observed. I've never seen somebody do this deal once. 95% of the people will never do this deal. 100% of the people that do it once, then what do? And they do it again. And then what do? And then they do it again. And 21 years later, they're standing in front of a podium talking about all the times they did it. So one last time, how many of you would like me to walk you step by step? Yeah, we're about done, Olivia. Who would like me to walk you step by step? Okay, I'm going to walk you through how to find this deal, how to get it under contract, okay, which contract to use, which attorney and title company to close at, and I'm going to go through all the steps for doing this deal. We're going to go through that step by step by step. But it's going to take about 3 days, so we're going to have to finish at the workshop. And obviously, that's just one of the 12 strategies. There's 11 others. My favorite one, I'm saving for the workshop, right? That's learning how to remodel houses for free. But remember I told you you could get a 3% mortgage with no money and no credit? Where do you do that? That was it. You find somebody that got a 3% mortgage that's having trouble paying their mortgage, just offer to take over the mortgage in exchange for them transfer the deed to you. The new 3% mortgage is way better than the old 3% mortgage, right? Because it comes now with no money and with no credit. So we're going to teach you all 12 strategies, the marketing campaigns. I just taught you your first close. That was the close number 1. It's called the atomic bomb close. Those were literally the magic words I said to the woman. And after hearing me explain the situation, she handed me the deed and she said, thank you. Now think about that. I have a list, one of those marketing lists. She's on the list. I literally call her, knock on the door, read the script, and she hands me the house and says, thank you. Like, it doesn't happen like that every time. It's a numbers game. It's maybe 1 in 20 people that you actually talk to, and they don't all want to talk to you. But you get a list, you knock on a door, you read a script, they hand you a key, and they say thank you, right? Rinse and repeat. That's how this business works. Learn how to partner with existing experts, how to access 1,000 private money lenders. So Austin, Dallas, Houston, pick the location that works best for you. I highly recommend you become a member of the REIA, and then among the various benefits, you also become a VIP at the workshop. Some other logistics for the workshop: pick the date and location that works best for you, live in person, and we also simulcast online. So just out of curiosity, how many of you would like to attend live? Let me do a quick hand, hold that room. How many want to come online?
What are the times?
It's all day, every day. Let me go through the times. So, okay, so everybody looks like they're coming live. I recommend live. For you guys online, click on the form, fill it out right now. You get the workshop for free, but then I'm also going to ask you, please join the REIA. The REIA is the only organization in Texas that actively spends tens of thousands of dollars on legislative action to protect your rights. Okay, we just came this close just a few years ago of losing the wraparound mortgage. If it was not for this organization spending tens of thousands of dollars, you know, you wouldn't have the abilities you have today. Cool poster. We'll talk about the poster a little bit later. I need to wrap this up. A couple of other announcements, and then we're going to get into our next presentation. If you'd like copies of our presentation, yes, we post them on our social media. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Just look for Texas REIAs. The workshop itself, live online. I'm going to start talking every morning at 8:45. Get there at 8:30. Get a good seat. Be a VIP. Then you get a front seat. Bring a notebook. You're going to fill an entire notebook, notepad with notes. So show up on time, right? Ask questions, take a lot of notes. I'm going to take you through several exercises that will help you build your individual plan. We're going to go late Friday, late Saturday, early Sunday. So it's 24 hours spread over 3 days, going late Friday, late Saturday. How late? I'm guessing maybe 7:30 Friday and 7:30 Saturday, then we'll end early on Sunday. A few questions. How much experience do I need? 75% of the people that come are newbies. 25% are experienced, but they're coming to learn some of the advanced stuff that only we do. Can I bring my significant other? Drag them by force, because if you don't, I'm going to teach you how to do stuff. You're going to go home, you're going to say, honey, guess what? We're buying a house. And what do you think honey's going to say if she didn't come to the workshop? Trust me, I will make it fun and interesting. And yes, you can even bring your significant other for 2 for 1 when you join the REIA. You get to bring them along, even if you're a VIP. You don't have to do that twice. They're your VIP. How do I know this is the real deal? I invite everybody I teach to give me a review, handwritten review. If you'd like to see thousands and thousands of handwritten, scanned reviews, don't believe things you see on the internet. You can't fake a handwritten, scanned review. If you'd like to see thousands of reviews, go to that link. Now, why would I post every review of everything on the internet? Because go look for yourself. You're going to see 99 out of 100 say the same thing. This was literally a life-changing experience. Where do I get my tickets? Turn in your form. They're going to give you your tickets and your receipt. Please also join the REIA. And if you'd like even more help, that's why you join the REIA. That's where you can interact with me and thousands of other members. So that is it.